have a motion for consent agenda, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, including 5.1, disposition of minutes for March 2023, 5.2, payment of bills, 5.3, district treasurer's report, 5.4, in-person activity fund report, cafeteria report, and 5.5, the personnel report.
Second.
For a second, wait a second, sorry. Right, was made those? Yeah, okay, roll call.
Landers,
Yes.
Komitas,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Beats,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Rapp.
Yes.
Information items, do we have any FOIA requests?
Did not.
Okay, then we would like to move on to our administrator reports, please.
Yes, so we have Carrie Del Hotel is here today. She's our cafeteria manager. Upcoming next year, currently she's working for Arbor. We're stealing her back from Arbor to start next year. And she was nice enough to bring some treats tonight. And also, Carrie, if you'll give us give us 60 seconds or so on your wonderful news. You can take 90 if you like, that's fine.
Time's on. I'm giving you a handout, just to kind of follow along. On the back page of your handout, I stapled, what exactly we're talking about when we talk about community eligibility provisions. And I'm gonna read my notes or I'll forget where I'm at. Okay, so, as you can see, changes are coming. First and foremost being we are getting rid of Arbor Management, which I'm not sad about.
Transitioning off of.
Yes, yes we are. Yes, we are transitioning to a self-operating unit again. So the biggest change for next year is going to be that breakfast and lunch will be free for every child in the district. Regardless of income, there will be no forms to fill out, no hoops to jump through. It just is every child in the district will be eating for free.
And is that just
Breakfast.
for next year?
No, we actually have got it for 4 years. It's called Community Eligibility Provision. It's a program through the government. It's based off of incomes overall of your student population. What they do is you feed them this student data. They look and they'll match it up with kids when they pop up, like either they're getting Medicaid or food stamps or SNAP benefits, whatever it is. So basically what it boiled down to was, and I can break it down by school. So basically 40% is what the minimal to get into the program is. Blackstone was at 60.18% of their students qualified, 59.28 at Lincoln, and here at Northbrook it was at 62%. So it's definitely a community-wide need. And especially for the parents that are on the bubble that maybe don't qualify, but it's a struggle to feed their kids every month. So we've taken care of that. So what's gonna happen is every month I do what they call a claim reimbursement through ISB. And what that entails is I put in the exact number from every school of meals that they ate, for breakfast and lunch both. And then ISB gives us our reimbursement based on what I put in. So, free kids obviously are reimbursed at a different rate than the paid kids, and then there's also a reduced lunch price. So all the reimbursements for that is different. So basically next year, we are going to be at 97.3% of our lunches are going to be reimbursed to us at the highest rate, which is like $4.33. So that extra money can be used to help, pay for electricity for the kitchen. It's huge, and we can provide quality food for these kids. What else was I gonna tell you? Oh, that's it about the meals. So as I said, we alluded to, we're not gonna be with Arbor Management, so that allowed me to rejoin. I will be joining the LaSalle County ROE Food Co-op. So what that does, and that's how we always had done it in years past, by joining this co-op, it increases our purchasing power a lot. So we can get pretty good food costs. And then, you know, obviously we're adding a lot of new menu items. Because before I was stuck to, you know, you have to stick to a budget, and I still will, but I will be able to do a little bit more with the money I'm allowed to spend.
Yeah, the quantity and quality of the food is going to increase, and that's not a knock on Arbor. Actually, I know we get a little bit, but you know, we are really grateful and thankful for the
And they are,
relationship
and they're-
that we've had with Arbor. They were really able to be a big supply chain asset for us, especially during the pandemic when things were so tight. And so, definitely not a knock on them, but for us
No.
to be able, but as of we sit right now today, Carrie's literally the only Arbor employee that even steps foot on campus. And so this would simply be transitioning her back under our wing, which means that she's way more responsible to my whims.
Right.
I do have
Don't go with
I do
that.
have a question, Carrie.
Yes.
So, being that everybody, will have the opportunity to have a free lunch, so everybody will get a tray, even if they bring a cold lunch, and then is that?
No, they have to come through my lunch line.
Yes, so they will all get a tray. I'm just thinking if it's the same thing that is currently done in my district. Like, say I bring a cold lunch, but I'm still getting a hot lunch. And then if I don't wanna eat it, you're not,
No,
okay.
no. What happens is the kids line up, and then our point of sale, because legally, we have to have a point of sale at the end of the line where the kids come through. So it's me at breakfast and another gal that's stepped up to do it at lunch. You have to look at that tray to make sure that it's a reimbursable meal.
Yeah, that's what they do in,
And it's their option whether they want to come through or not. Like if they want an extra milk or an extra sandwich, which they're allowed to do, they still have to have money on their account for that. So what this is providing is one breakfast, one lunch. Anything above and beyond that is the parent's responsibility to pay for.
But the choice will still be there within the lunch?
The
whole meal?
choices at Lincoln and Blackstone are gonna be what's on the menu only because, and that's the other thing, it's so hard for these teachers in the mornings when they're taking attendance, because as we all know, kids change their mind. I know it shocks everybody, but I mean, I hadn't realized how sad it was till I had to go over one day, they were short at Blackstone, to see little kids crying because they changed their mind and there wasn't enough food available for them to do that. Kids breaking down, crying. Then they would hide their lanyards. Oh no, I was choice one, as they're stuffing their lanyards in their shirts. And this way, I think just a set menu for the smaller kids will be great. The bigger kids are gonna have as much, if not a few more choices. And I think we're gonna change up a few of the choices like by the week, so that they don't get burned out on just cheeseburgers, just chicken patties. So the big kids handle the choice option, and they still get through in a really good amount of time. The little kids will stand there and look at you.
Well, I
Do
was
you
gonna
want
say,
peaches?
even my daughter
what are
says
peaches?
that sometimes if she's in the last group, all of the ones of her choice are gone, so she gets something she didn't pick, and she's so mad when she gets home.
Yeah, so
because
we're
that's
gonna
not what I
alleviate-
picked.
Yeah, we're gonna alleviate that because it's stressful for the teachers and Stacy and everybody. So the menu is what it is for the smaller school.
Your 90 seconds is getting really close to being up.
So you don't want the song and dance routine I had prepared?
We do.
I mean,
Be careful what you wish for.
please do. But actually, just what I wanna say is I just wanna provide good food that the kids wanna eat, that looks appealing, cause they eat with their eyes. If they walk in and it looks like pig slop, they're not gonna eat it. So, I want presentation. And then the other thing is I wanna be more proactive about like maintenance in the kitchen, you
We've
know.
already started on that a little bit.
Yeah, yes, we have.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't know if anybody's ever been in our kitchen, but a lot of things have been overlooked for many, many years. So just little stuff like, you know, making sure the ovens, the doors are tightened, the stuff, you know, works when it's supposed to. That's kind of one thing I wanna just be more proactive with and just stay on top of.
Yeah, we've already started on some equipment, kitchen equipment rotations.
I'm waiting for my
Started.
sink this is exciting. Because for the last 250 years that I've worked here, we have a 2-compartment sink in our kitchen. If anybody's ever worked in food service, that's a no. So every year we have to get a waiver from the health department that says if we ever remodel, we have to get rid of that 2-compartment sink. Well, we have found a 3-compartment sink and a hand washing sink. So we're getting there. Thank you. That's it.
Thanks, Carrie.
We did all.
I was just curious.
Oh, good, thank you.
You have one more question.
Oh,
It
I'm
might be a
sorry.
Brad question, I don't know. The percentages that you had stated for each of the 3 schools, that's what the census is telling you, or that is what we're already?
That's what's in the computer. So like, ISB looks at, the data from SNAP, from WIC, from, Medicare, KidCare, all that. So those percentages are how many of our students qualified for any of those things.
Did that percentage match up with, the free lunches or the marked down reduced lunches of what we had? Just
Eligibility,
that
though.
there's the big difference.
It's the eligibility, and not every family comes forth and says that they want the help. A lot of families are too embarrassed to apply. So they pick, ISB picks up on those kids that do qualify, but the parents are too embarrassed to come in and fill out the forms. Cause there's so many that feel like it's a handout. When there's so many that, like I said, are on that bubble that really can use that little extra help, cause it gets expensive to feed them. It really does, so this alleviates all of that.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great job, Carrie.
Thank you. I'll take it with me, if everybody's done, or do we wanna leave it?
You bet, and so, we also have another, presentation tonight. We're fortunate enough, to have 2 of our committee members here tonight, so, Principal
Hi,
Bailey, you
everybody.
wanna start this, ball rolling with CSS?
Sure, I know all of you have met me. This is Miss Jahant. She is the 8th grade social studies teacher here at Northbrook, and she is on this committee as well. This committee was born out of a lot of conversations with Brad related to consistency throughout the district. Would you like one? Okay. So we had a lot of conversations. We said, let's make a committee. Principals pick and choose a representative from every grade level. And it really, it's collaboration for student success. Probably one of the hardest things we did this year would be name it, the committee. We wanted the word student in there because what you really have to do when you walk into this committee is swallow your pride and it's not about you as a teacher or you as an administrator, it's about what is good for students. And sometimes that's hard for us. So there are 4 principles that we were going to evaluate: grading, homework, rigor, and discipline. This, I don't know if this looks like a lot or a little to you. This is the teeniest little bit of the takeaway of what we've been doing. So I'm gonna let you talk about the process of the committee, and I'm gonna let you talk about what you wanna talk about, cause I've had fun watching Ms. Jahant be in this committee because, she's got a, I don't know what you tell them.
I teach 8th grade. I'm actually the room next door. Paula approached me and just asked if I would represent the 8th grade. She picked staff, from every grade level for different reasons. But so I've taught 21 years. In my 21 years, we do a lot of curriculum development and collaboration with high school, and it's very curriculum driven, which is great. These type of topics don't fall into that. They're kind of the fringe, but they're really the operational part of it. And so this has been a long time coming, I think. So it's really great to see taking some of our first baby steps. And so we get into it. She has an outline for the grading, homework, rigor, discipline, and then we break it down from there. The interesting part for me from the 8th grade end of it is a lot of my conversations go to the high school. I've not really had conversations with the K1 part, and so language and vocabulary and expectations, I'm learning quite a bit. And we're in the same district and we have the same kids over a 9-year span. But I'm getting a really fast education on the little end of it, which is good, and it's eye-opening, and I take it back to my team, and I say, did you guys have any idea this goes on at Blackstone? Did you know this is how Lincoln does it? So the idea is we take it back to our teams, and then we've come back then to the big committee again. I've seen gaps, you know, that I didn't know about before, and I think this is where the principals came from, that they see it on a bigger scale than we do in my little niche room. So I'm starting to see what some of those gaps are. I've seen like what some of our strengths are. Some things are really exciting that I just didn't know about our district. I'm also going to be a mom with a kindergartner next year, so I'm really dialed in to what that K-1 building is doing and what the teachers brought to show us, and I was really impressed. Like, I'm excited from the parent side of it. Like, there was some relief there that how consistent and strong the K-1 is. And then we start to get in, once you do a building transfer, it gets a little different, and then you do another building transfer. There's a lot of things that are lost in translation, and so that's kind of the idea, I think, of what this is, to just tighten all of it up, and we'll never be, you know, at 100% consistency, but we can improve.
But what it's opened up is dialogue. And so every time we have one of these meetings and we're choosing a topic and we are having, it's beautiful, deep, very meaningful conversations about education. Nowhere in education do people get the time to do that. And I have to tell you, like, it is so meaningful for this group of people to spend these hours talking about things that matter so much to kids. And so when we do see a gap, we all go, like, oh my gosh, did you know that was happening? And then they can go back and talk to each other about it. You know, what I've learned is grading, how we grade is just the most intimate thing for a teacher. And it's a very personal thing for a teacher. And it's going to, it's going to rock a few boats when we have to say, like, this is how it has to look. And so one of the things I think that we're kind of accepting as we think about it is we aren't going to ever be consistent K-8 because things are so different. But what we are going to be consistent with is grade level. So if you are giving a test and it's math test and it's unit 2 and it's the test for unit 2, everybody's going to be grading it exactly the same. One of the inconsistencies is they might be all giving the same test, but somebody's grading it for 40 points, somebody's grading it for 51 points, somebody's in the same grade level because that's how they grade. And so those are the things that we're like, oh, we can't do that. One of the teachers on this is in a graduate program, and she talked about this book, Grading for Equity. So I went on Amazon and I bought the book and I went through it, and I was proud to say that our math department grades for equity at Northbrook. Like, we do that, but there were things in there that I hadn't thought about that I was like, ooh, this is a really good idea. We could incorporate this. And it's different because I'm dealing with self-contained rooms, and then I have content areas, and everything gets a little murky. But it's been very exciting, and it's been very delightful to be part of a system where this is what we're talking about, what we're doing. And I don't remember how we were, I don't know what we were talking about, like clip charts or whatever it was, but sometimes you have to just swallow your belief and listen, and you have to do what's good for the group, and you have to really, like, take it in and say, it's not bad, it's just something I don't agree with personally, but then you have to grab a hold of it and you have to do that. So one of our next steps is going to be, how do we prepare to tell everybody what it's going to look like. And so I'm very excited about that part, because I'm very excited about the things that we've talked about, and I truly have had fun watching somebody who's about to put their child in this district get so excited, and every time the K-1 teachers would talk to you, like, what did they say? What? And the K-1, it really is a model for a lot of the things, and then we're gonna kind of adapt a lot of those things.
So it's not just, it's definitely making sure that there's consistency within a grade level. That if 5th grade teacher A is doing it, so are 5th grade teachers B, C, and D. But it's also making sure that there are, when possible, constant philosophies across grade levels, right? And so it doesn't make any sense if all the third grade team and all the third grade teachers are doing a great job of making sure that each one of their students gets 60 minutes of homework a week. If the fourth grade teachers are back to 0, right? And so yes, so it's a philosophy that yes, we do, as collectively as educators, we give homework, right? And so there are some of those kind of bigger issues that kind of go across all grade levels as well. And
Yeah, one of the things I was not expecting is that at almost every meeting, we end up talking about curriculum. I was not expecting that, that has been a very interesting part of it, where everybody's really bought into curriculum and like what our needs are and what our gaps are and what it looks like. And I was not expecting to go that route. A lot of people avoid talking about curriculum unless you're a curriculum director. But that has really that has made me very interested into listening what people are saying about that, because I was not expecting curriculum to come out of this committee at all.
yeah, it's so interesting how, and again, these are the things that you know, really well-intentioned, hardworking, great professionals, if left to do exactly what they feel is best in their classroom, it's going to look different. Just as you go from classroom to classroom. And so we might have bought all of this wonderful curriculum, and teacher A might say, I don't really like the way this gets implemented, so I'm going to supplement with my own stuff to do A. And the next person next door might say, I really like the way A does, but when we do B, I don't like the instructional part of that, so I'm going to supplement with my own. And now all of a sudden, we've bought the exact same curriculum for everybody to use, and it might get implemented 4 or 5 different ways, right? And so it's those conversations too. And so we really didn't talk about the structure of the committee, but there's a representative from every grade level who's on it, administrators, and it's just really great conversation about what's actually going on in the classroom, and putting it back in that student lens, because how is that fair to a student to go to math, and these are the rules that apply with respect to homework and grading. But now when I go to English, it's a different set of rules. Now when I go to social studies, it's a different set of rules. When I go from one grade level to the next, now it's a different set of rules, right? And so as a student, we want to make all of these processes as streamlined as possible. So this is the way it was last year. Yeah, I see how it's a little bit different, but philosophically it's the same. We're going down the same path. And so how can we get all of the stuff set aside for kids so they can get right down to it and focus on the learning part of it, and they don't have to worry about all the other stuff. And so that's why it's collaboration for student success, is because we're really trying to approach it from that student lens. And I know that we've done a ton of good work on it this year. We're not even gonna get it all done this year.
No.
Right?
And that is the one thing that I said that on day one, this is gonna be the slowest process. It's gonna involve discussion, and it's going to, we are not gonna be like, you're grading like this, that is not going to be the conversation. Having this small committee, have all of these talks, they are gonna be the leaders in helping with the change throughout the district. But by no means are we gonna say, starting on Monday, you're doing this. We have not walked out of a committee meeting. We have walked out and we've brought it back to our teams and said, this is what we talked about. And this is kind of what we came up with. You know, the homework one was simple, honestly. It was, everybody should have homework. Should kindergarten have the same amount of homework as 8th grade? Absolutely not. But I think just the philosophy that every kid should go home with a little something, little independent work, yeah. So, how that looks is that's gonna be the discussion, so.
Now, what do you think, I guess it's on they're sent home with homework, which I agree, disagree either way, but my kids always have time to do it at school. Is that one of those
Mhm.
things you guys talk about? Do you want the
We
homework
did.
at the house?
Yeah, so we would like it at home.
Yeah.
You know, if you have time to do it in class, and there's always gonna be that, but if at the very least it's reading at home, what can you do independently?
And so that was one of the early questions, then to go back to our team and survey them. how much time is allowed in class, at least as a starter, you know, and what percentage would you say a student should have as they walk out the door, because, you know, then that's the weight is on them for the rest of that night. And and I can only speak for 8th grade, but then everybody at other grade level reported, and there was consistency in the 8th grade at least, like that we all give some time in class that gives the kids a significant grasp,
Yeah.
so that they're not flailing entirely. And I can't imagine it's a common practice that it's handed and then you're out the door. So, yeah. But again, the whole point was we're all on that same page though, right? And so it just made a chance to clarify it.
And just like on that same subject, like, is it something where it was like spread out? Like, I remember when my daughter was in one of the lower grades, it was like packet for the week, and it was like whichever night or whatever. It
Sure.
wasn't necessarily.
And that was
is it a
K1, I would
daily?
imagine. We said
Yeah.
K1 was the model for homework. They really have it laid out beautifully and how they do it. We can't do that, obviously, here,
Right.
but they are getting something. This is getting sent home on Monday, this has gotta come back on Friday.
Mhm.
Each night if you do this is what we're teaching in class, so it looks like this. So yeah, that is the, kind of the model is teach it, what can you do independently at home?
So like in the middle school, there's like an ebb and flow. Like
Yeah.
some days are heavier,
Right.
just by the nature of where we're all landing on that
Yep.
day, and then some days it really waters out nicely.
Mhm.
So it does just vary.
Yeah, we have a study hall built in at the end of every day, and I think that helps too. So that is because there is more to do, so.
You talked about it being a student lens and student focus. Has there been any thought about it, and maybe this is like next year's evolution of it, of actually dialing into the students?
No, but I kind of, what's funny is this year, we put our study hall at a different place than we've ever had it. We put it at the very end of the day. I've never had it like that. And it was a little confusing at first, and the kids were like, why isn't our study hall with our lunch? And, I've had more feedback about that one thing from this building, from kids coming in my office and talking about it, and positively. They're like, why did it take you so long? Was pretty much the conversation. I'm like, it's 'cause we're hard. But I think that's actually a great idea to get feedback from kids about like what do we need to work on and what's good and what's bad. I think that is part of the
I
evolution.
think you talked a little bit about, there are our same kids through 3 buildings, and in those, first 3 years, it's 2 different buildings right
Mhm.
away. And what about, as a parent, you hear like, well, did you know when we got there, you don't do that at lunch anymore, or we don't
Mhm.
go outside, we don't have recess. Like, there's just some expectations and some differences, and maybe some of those can be retained where they were very positive, and maybe
Mhm.
they can't. But I think just having put 3 kids, through the difference, the consistency, I love that you're talking about it, because
Mhm.
it's been very different experiences for every child,
Right.
depending on who the teacher is, or who maybe the principal of the school is, and
Sure.
so having those common expectations is really important. But I do think it'd be really nice to hear directly from the kids, like, hey, we did this. Like you talked about, the teachers sometimes have their own one-off thing, but sometimes the one-off thing is like the really cool thing that they remember,
Right.
or a technique that they use in the classroom that
Right.
could be shared. So I just want to make sure that we don't lose sight of their opinions at every grade level, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I love
it's
that.
all about
That's
them.
great.
It's great.
And then is there like a plan like moving forward for like continuing with this and allowing for like, okay, we've tried this consistent method and maybe we need to like change that and like
I would
a
hope that
growing
this is just a continuing committee
like
where,
this won't go away.
right.
This committee can stay.
no, I have no intention after May to be like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
That's not my goal at all. I think that it's actually been a very enjoyable committee, which I don't know if those 2 words have ever been put together. But,
Not most
so,
committees.
yeah.
And then I have one final question. So as you guys came up with some of these things, and you had mentioned you got that one book and you're bringing like all these different teachers' perspectives, has there like been any, I don't know how to say this, like other resources or other like you pull from like studies show this is good, or like what is your
No,
resources, or is it
I
just?
think it's just internal,
Okay.
like internally from talking to teams and going back to your team and saying, this is what we talked about, what do you think, and then bringing that back.
Okay.
I mean, there might be a few anecdotal things where teachers have experience of their own children in different districts. I can remember there was a conversation about PBIS
Mhm.
necessarily, but, the behavior intervention, but, that a staff member had with their own child, it was a good idea. Can we, don't
Yeah.
reinvent the wheel, we can steal that, right? Would that
Yeah.
apply to, where would that fit? So there were like maybe a couple of anecdotal things.
I think on a philosophical level, like a higher than like the, how you carry it out, but the idea around like, we all agree that the homework is good. Like even just being able to prepare why, whether it's an outside resource or an inside resource as to why, I think sometimes is a good talking point. 'Cause
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. It's
Yeah.
just like,
why?
like if we're, you know, like a district that wants to like show that we're like moving forward and we're doing like truly, obviously like if it works for our people and our students, but
Sure.
also like maybe why does
Long-term,
this
right.
work?
Right,
Yeah,
sure.
like where are we getting this from? Not
Right.
just we all like.
It's a feeling.
Yeah, yeah,
No, no,
and
no,
I'm
no.
not saying that those are bad either.
Right,
like,
but
this
no,
is-
it has a little bit more meat to it
Yeah,
when you can actually
yeah.
back it with research
Yeah.
and evidence.
Yep.
If anybody else has anything else, I just wanted to add one thing. One of the things that, you know, one of the most valuable resources that we have are time and energy, right? And so, one of my big things is efficiencies. We only have so much energy to do what we're doing, and so we need to be focused. We need to have not only our oars in the water, but we need to be rowing in the same direction. And so this is exactly the type of process that you all should be very proud of, that I'm extremely proud of. I hope the people in the organization are as well, because the things that we're talking about here, these are in your board goals listed specifically. These are things that the administrative team has talked about specifically. These are things that the staff members in the organization have specifically noticed and found frustration with. These are things that parents have specifically had struggles with. These are things that students have specifically had struggles with. And so literally everybody is working on something that they know needs to be better. And so this is a tremendous process that I could be more proud of.
As an educator, I appreciate the work that you guys do on this.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's been a very positive experience, and I think everybody's had a moment there where they're like, what? What do you do? Why do you do it that way? We do this, and like just great conversations. So,
I'd like to be a fly in the wall in all the meetings.
yeah, it's a very good process for us.
I will just add real quick, I think everyone has been challenged in the meeting.
Mhm.
Like, I'm pretty comfortable in how I teach and I'm pretty confident, but then an idea got put out there and I'm like, okay, I gotta process that one and see how that doesn't fit with me. Why? And then I start to think, is it my feeling or is
Right.
it actually something that's really valid and I need to readjust?
Correct.
So I think from the Ks all the way up to the 8th grade,
Mhm.
everybody at some point has said, ooh, okay, it's different, why is that different, and then how is that better?
And we told everybody this is gonna be challenging for you. Teaching is personal. It is a very personal experience, and it's hard to explain that to somebody who's not in it. Those are your kids in your room and what you believe in and what you're teaching, and it's such a personal experience, so we have to challenge some of that. And there isn't a single person sitting in that room who has not been challenged, but it's been great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you. I'm gonna clear it for Karen. Do you wanna do the last call?
Yeah, I'm doing first call actually.
Are there any questions on the revised budget? It was covered in the update. There's no questions. Do we have a motion to approve the revised budget?
I'll make a motion to approve the tentative revised fiscal year 23 budget as presented.
And a second?
Second.
I don't know who said that first. Amanda?
Sure.
And roll call.
Landers?
Yes.
Semitas?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Haas?
Yep.
Schrader?
Yes.
Beats?
Yes.
Rapp? Yes.
Our next is this is the final step in the issuance of these bonds. Were there any questions in regards to this motion? If there's no questions, could we please have a motion on action item 7.2?
resolution providing for the issue of not to exceed $3.1 million in general obligation school bonds.
Second,
Second?
Sarah, roll call.
Schrader,
Yes.
Haas,
Yep.
Kane,
Yes.
Comitas,
Yes.
Landers,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Beats.
Yes. Item 7.3 is the transfer from working cash to bond and interest. This is just an inter-all transfer. Are there any questions on that? We have a motion, please. Holly, you're on a roll.
Well, I know, but I had food in my mouth.
Make a motion to approve the transfer of $8,000 from working cash to bond and interest.
I'll second.
Seconds, roll call.
Beats,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Comitas,
Yes.
Landers,
Yes.
Rapp.
Yes.
Item 7.4 is our MOU stipends. This is what we covered last time. There were no changes. This has been approved from the union side. Are there any questions? Okay, we have a motion, please.
I'll make the motion to approve the MOU for the stipends as presented.
I'll second.
And roll call.
Rapp,
Yes.
Landers,
Yes.
Comitas,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Haas,
Mm-hmm.
Schrader,
Yes.
Beats.
Yes.
Item 7.5, we have to move the meeting date in order to be in compliance with the number of days following the election. Is there any questions in regards to moving the meeting from the 18th to the 11th?
I have a question. You talked about like approving the spending in your, update. Can I ask a question about that, or, okay, I didn't know if that was still on topic. So is that something that we'll still like receive, like, and look at before that is done, since our meeting will be before those are paid, or how does
So,
that work?
so typically, so we use the same mechanism, that we would use, on months where we don't have meetings. Every once in a while, you won't have a June or July meeting during the summer, if there's any. And so, there'll be a motion that will, authorize the central office to pay normal bills. So it would be, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing extravagant. Things that could be held over that would be larger, for instance, if you wouldn't buy $100,000 worth of textbooks and have it be approved carte blanche, right? And so it would be normal nominal bills. And so you pass a resolution at the meeting before, allowing the district office to do that, and the board gets a copy, as soon as those bills are produced. So that's what the motion.
Is there a separate motion for that? Okay.
That we wouldn't do that on that.
Yeah, I think maybe I read it, that we would do that at the May meeting,
Yep.
but I was still curious how that worked, since it was gonna be before.
Mm-hmm. There's no other questions. Could we have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the May 18th, 2023 board meeting to May 11th, 2023.
And roll call.
Landers,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Beats,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Haas, Kane,
Yep.
Comitas.
Yes. The next item is the library becoming the 2 classrooms and then a move around within the office. In the main office, we've had these discussions ongoing for quite a few months and different pieces. Are there any questions in regards to that project?
The main office, that's part of, some of
The
the
entrance.
safety and whatnot too, right?
Yeah, moving the nurse back. Yeah. Any other questions about it? You look perplexed. Okay.
Are we gonna see a thing for it, or?
So it's way scaled back. Essentially, it's like not a pretty. It's not like the pretty
Are we
design
talking about,
stuff.
are we talking about the office?
Do you want the office? Here is being split into 2
Yeah.
classrooms,
But
but
it's more the office.
yeah, it's just flat.
It's not the beautiful office located.
Right,
where we
basically.
Not the pretty one that
That we
we.
currently
It's
work
basically
in.
just a flip-flop of the
Nurse
nurse's
and the
office and the
Principal's office.
And why the flip, like,
So,
Did everybody see this, and I was just.
Oh,
okay,
it was,
'cause I was
it was,
like,
it was in what
everybody
I said
does
on
it.
Tuesday.
Yeah, it wasn't
I'm
enough
concerned by
data.
that.
Yeah.
It was in one of the last pages.
And so basically, the way that the security wall is going to be implemented, it's going to be in between the existing principal's office and the entry to that main office there. And so, if the nurse's office remains, what I'm gonna say, outside the security envelope, then every kid that has to be buzzed in and out, or every kid that goes to the nurse's office has to be buzzed in and out, and that constant, that traffic will be constant. I think it's more common to have the nurse's office inside the security envelope, so it's more accessible to students.
Cause the principal most likely is escorting the people in her office or expecting an appointment or whatnot, not just
Yep.
kids popping in. I mean, it wasn't our ideal first choice, but our very first choice in this plan was how much money?
$500,000.
$500,000.
Nice.
And so the
Huge savings.
so the office component of this, instead of being $500,000, is somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 or 38. And then, of course, the functionality of splitting this room. If you look through the window back here, at the far end of the 5th grade room is where our 8th graders have to go for their special ed services. And the other 8th grade classes are right here. And so, to get everybody together, 7th grade special ed services are in the 6th grade wing.
And ag as well,
What's that?
and ag as well.
So I have a question. So this is gonna be 2 rooms. How's it gonna be, is there gonna be another?
There's already a door.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I was,
And so, if you, yeah, and so that
that
was,
used to go into the,
it's,
computer.
yep, and so so the other handout, I got this on Tuesday and I sent it over to you. And so, you can see how, you'll enter from the corridor in that storage room, and then it will wrap around.
That's what I was.
And what will happen to all of this?
Classroom-based library.
Classroom-based libraries, and so, I don't know if you noticed,
Do they have room for all of this?
oh, yeah.
Most of them have it right now, right?
Yeah, so they just did a scan on our 8th grade reading library, and there were some 1,300 novels just in that one classroom. So each classroom will have, their own real age-specific library.
And yeah, most of them do right now.
Yeah.
They're just getting to add to it.
You mean electronic? What you mean?
No, like if you go in the back of the classrooms, they'll have like
Teachers like.
Like my class.
some of them have
Yeah.
spinning things, some of them have stagnant shelves or whatever, or they rotate them out and.
Remember when we were in Miss Novak's room at Lincoln, she had like little black bins full of books. She
Like my
was-
classroom. I have 3,000 books that I have to box up.
That'll teach you.
Any other questions about that? Okay, got a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Northbrook functionality updates for the office and library as presented.
Second. Roll call.
Landers,
Yes.
Comitas,
Yes.
Kane.
Yep.
Haas.
Yep.
Rapp,
Yes.
Beats,
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Brad provided us kind of a summary rundown of handbook revisions, but majority of these are just kind of procedural or small language changes or corrections. It's not any significant content change. Is there any questions specifically about the handbook? Okay, motion please.
Fiscal year or financial year?
Fiscal year. Bank brain.
24 as presented.
And a second,
I'll second.
and roll call.
Kane,
Yes.
Comitas,
Yes.
Landers,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Beats,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Haas.
The next one is our hourly increase. Need Heimlich. Shannon, run!
Well, that's how people die. They go to the bathroom because they get embarrassed and then they pass out in the bathroom.
Hey, it's okay.
All right.
Keep in mind, that's how people die, Shane
Right.
says.
That is. Because they get embarrassed because they're choking.
I wasn't embarrassed.
But she is now.
Okay.
Because it's on camera, it's on YouTube.
It's gonna go viral on
People
TikTok.
watching it. Actually, that'll be fascinating.
And, well, no, Charles has probably got it on
You're gonna be
WGLC.
Are you broadcasting live, Charles?
No, but I do have the audio recorded, so
Oh,
we
good.
will hear
Good.
the exact moment the nacho went sideways.
Thanks,
Perfect. And then
thanks.
the reply from the medical
Yeah.
professional in the room.
Just what my, family
All
wants.
right. So this is, as you will recall, for those of us that have been on the board for a while, when the law came into place that we had to reach that $15 an hour minimum wage, we didn't want it to be a sudden jump, both for financial stability as well as fairness and being able to acknowledge people that were here longer are gonna have some level of increase over those that are just starting. So by doing this, it's the increase of $1 an hour and the 25 cents for the seniority. So that's really where it begins to spread and acknowledge that years of service, so it's not the same, which we didn't have for a long time, and I think it really is important for employees to feel valued and feel like they want to stay. So excited to see that. Is there any other questions on that? And we are on track to meet our minimum deadline, and we had all that mapped out. So
Yes, ma'am.
very good. All right, if we could have a motion please for 7.8.
Make a motion to increase the base wage of all hourly employees by $1 plus 25 cents for an additional year of seniority. All other non-CBA employees follow their natural wage progression. Any remaining rates increase by 3%.
I'll second.
And roll call.
Haas,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Beats,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Landers,
Yes.
Komitas,
Yes.
Kane.
Yes.
Item 7.9 is the district health insurance committee. We need to, and Brad shared in the past, that was the superintendent, bookkeeper, and board president. And last time this committee met in regards to health insurance. Is there any desire to have that look different this time?
You wanna do it?
I don't mind doing it.
Okay.
Feed on my 13 years of healthcare experience.
There you go.
I say it sounds good.
Okay. So then if we could, go ahead and name that it'd be board president, bookkeeper, and superintendent.
I'll make a motion to appoint, Brad Cox, district bookkeeper, and Teresa as part of the district health insurance committee.
And a second? And roll call.
Beats,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Kane,
Yep.
Komitas, Landers,
Yes.
Rapp.
Yes.
New math materials as presented.
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of work on math curriculum, and really trying to take the time and get it right. And we do not have a financial presentation to bring to this meeting. We're still, I didn't really know this was a thing, but a lot of times in curriculum, evidently, there's a, for lack of a better term, a haggling process. And so we're still in negotiations with textbook companies to make sure that.
Really?
that
So you
we-
can
Bid them against each
Barter?
other and,
Yes.
oh yeah.
I was
Multi-year
ex-
agreement.
So it really, so is that the job of the curriculum director to haggle the price?
Correct.
Yeah, I was on the math
So
committee.
depending on his negotiation skills, or is,
Well, the superintendent has a lot of oversight.
I figured it wasn't just like a one-man show, but
Isn't that crazy, you know?
so the better you're.
It was, I was on the math committee in LaSalle, so it was like, do you want a 3-year, do you want a 6-year, do you want a 5-year, do you want a 4-year, like, will we give,
This company's offering us this,
Yeah.
and it's a very,
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, it was very eye-opening when I served on the
And
math committee.
I, and,
I feel like that should be a standard,
No.
like
No.
especially,
No.
but in educate, like, I feel
No.
like that.
Well, and the worst, and,
That way.
and I
That's
guess
what's crazy.
the worst part, but then the best part is, well,
But that's
you would,
like a material. Like,
you would
I
also
mean,
be
I
the,
know other
you would be the only area in the school that has that curriculum, so you could be the advertiser in this, you know what I mean?
Right, like the
that's what
pilot
we,
for that area.
yeah, that's what we did when, into math, we got into math
Being
and stuff.
testing.
So,
It's good and bad.
so we should have a proposal to bring to you for the May 11th work
We expect the lowest price around.
meeting. I'm excited about the materials and the work that the committee's put in and the direction that we're going.
Can you find curriculum that teaches the parents too, since we don't know how to do our children's math anymore?
Yeah.
Backwards, man. I did those backwards and forwards. I'm like, wait, you didn't bring the homework cover home?
I know. What are
Yeah.
you talking about? That's not how you do it. Then I
As
get
of
so mad at
fifth
you.
grade, if I can't explain it to him in a way that he understands, or he says the teacher doesn't do it that way, I
Yes.
back off, because I don't want to to
Mess 'em
teach
up.
him on
Right.
how.
So then you just Google whatever the thing at the bottom
Well,
is.
And
Well, because of
Yeah.
COVID,
Because it does have the
honestly,
standards on it.
there is a teacher teaching most of those, like you look up the exact
Yes.
name of the curriculum and the unit number, the
Webinars.
lesson
Yep.
number, and there's a YouTube video
Yep.
that goes
Thank
along
goodness,
with it.
right?
Well, and I find that
Until they
very
change.
interesting being a teacher currently of EL students, because you think, what, like, you probably know, like, like, what parents, some parents for EL students aren't gonna be able to help them at home, you know what I mean, so.
Absolutely.
Well, good, one more question about the curriculum, just out of pure curiosity, do districts share what they paid for their, so you can use that as a comparison?
I don't know why that couldn't be done. I mean, once
I'm
that's
just curious,
bought,
public,
it's all
yeah,
public knowledge,
yeah.
once it's bought.
But it's so-
They have to post what they.
Well, 'cause the board would
The board
approve
has to
it.
pay the bills.
And the
Oh,
dollar
yeah,
amount.
yeah.
So much of it though is whether you have consumables or non-consumables. Do you have the online component? How many schools? How many
Yeah, so
kids?
it's not
how many,
exactly a
how
price,
many years
like, you
did you
wouldn't
do?
understand
Yeah.
that.
No, all that feeds in.
So, just pure like being nosy and like,
Yeah.
like Peru got it for
I
this
think you-
much.
I think-
Yeah, just be like,
Right.
well, I noticed that Peru bought this program and they got it for this price
Right.
and they have less students or whatever, they don't.
Shannon, I think you should serve on the health textbook committee for LaSalle Public Schools.
There you go.
Next year.
If you're
I
not
don't
making-
think we have a health tech, I think we call it U of I extension.
Well, I think you might have to do it.
Okay, so if there's no other questions, we'll see that again soon. We discussed school lunches. Was there anything else on that one you wanted to discuss?
It wasn't
Can we make sure that that gets out there pretty good?
most certainly.
Is the high school been part of conversations at all? We talked with them about that?
Are they, it's just
Well,
us,
it's
right?
an application, so we applied,
Right.
but
Correct.
it is, because we are the same population group, clearly, if we're at 60+%,
Sure.
they would qualify. I'd just be interested to
Yeah.
know, because we have the same families, it'd be nice.
I can-
I do
you
think
can definitely reach out.
publicizing though, that like extra milk, I could see people getting very upset about that. Like, what? I didn't know that they had to.
Oh, like, yeah, the
Like
basic,
making
the
sure
basic
they
lunch
know they
is
have to
free.
pay for when
Yes,
their
like
kids
this
take
is
extras.
free, but this would be additional cost.
Those milks are tiny.
But you know what I mean? I could just see parents being like, I didn't
We used
know
to
I
always
had
have the milk and bread, how come we don't do that anymore?
Bread.
Remember, there was a milk and bread bid.
Bid.
Oh my gosh,
You
that's
just-
right.
It's
Yeah,
called
that
milk and
is-
bread bid.
Well,
Oh my
because
gosh.
Arbor
Oh, okay.
did that,
Oh,
so we.
that's
So now we will again.
We might.
There was only ever one, but it was just so funny to be the milk and bread bid.
Yeah, no, that's a thing, yeah, that's a thing,
Okay.
for sure.
So new board members, so the plan will be, we still have another regular meeting with our seated folks now. but we would be
Yes, and
transitioning.
so this same group will come back together on the 11th. We will, at that point in time, we will, thank Kristen and Shannon
They can stay longer if they want.
and,
Yeah.
100%.
I tried talking to Shannon about the other day at
Come on,
a
Shannon.
IEP meeting.
Everybody's
I
doing
just
it.
think maybe some more diversity would be nice. You know what I mean?
So I have another question. So can they decide, so they didn't run, so they would have to be appointed, but can they be appointed? Did they
If
have,
we
I
don't
guess, do
have
they
any
have to be
more?
gone before we, like, yeah, cause what
I
happens if
wasn't.
we
She
advertise?
wasn't. I wasn't. Remember?
What?
Remember last year, I was appointed
Right,
this year, and I didn't run last year, and there wasn't any, like,
Waiting period.
yeah, it was just, I took the oath again.
You're here.
but you don't,
Yeah, to stay here.
but you don't wanna stay.
No, yeah, that's right.
So what I'm saying though, is like,
Don't say it like that.
that was really fast. What I meant was, if we were to advertise openings, would it be possible to have them continue to serve in the capacity while we awaited somebody else to come in? Like, could they be appointed and then resign and the person that applied be appointed, or would it have to be an actual vacancy before we could advertise?
So,
There's not like a gap.
Right.
so if they wanted to, get sworn back in May, but say, we're only gonna do it for 2 months, well, you find two new people.
But that would give us the time
Yep.
to find, so
Yeah, that
just
would-
think about that,
would all be well.
ladies. I hear we're having fried chicken at the next meeting, right, Fred?
You're picking the menu. I'm not.
So,
I'm just here to
or
eat.
chicken
How
hot,
about- how
or
about
turkey
pizza
hot
and
plates
trivia?
or something,
That would
I
work
don't
too.
know. So,
Trivia.
It's just,
Sorry.
think about it, let us know. I mean, I know you don't want another term, but if you're like adamant that that's your next meeting, or if you're like, maybe I'll take the oath and wait till we get somebody else seated, you, totally up to you. But, think about it. Let Brad know, or I know.
I'd like to not have to rush, and we've gone through this process 3 times now in the last, 18 months?
Yeah.
And it's mostly this,
I feel like it's.
each time we've gotten less and less applicants on top of that, and I love that you say diversity too. I love the women that we have here.
Another white woman sitting here.
No, I have spoken to any Hispanic woman that I know in this town that I think would be a great fit, and they're not interested, and they gave me funny reasons why, but I think it might be, they don't want to. I mean, and we had one chance for a male, and that was it.
Well, when we had Brenda's position, there was what, like,
6.
well, we brought 4 in,
That
but
was
there was a
right
first
after.
round where we eliminated quite a few, I think there were 7, and then we went to 4.
Yeah, there was 7.
And then we had the top 2, and then we took 1.
COVID and the
So,
masks, though,
yeah.
people were fired.
So we just need to do something a little more controversial to get some attention.
No,
again.
no, no,
Make it to
no.
our-
Oh, it's wait,
That's not the kind of I'll put it
But I agree
I've had
though.
more people just say, you know, and I've approached, and when they saw my name, of course, they didn't even know I had been on for a year, but that's okay. But they were like, oh, thank God you're doing it, I could never do that,
I
I would
know.
never want to do that.
Why would you wanna
I
do
know,
that?
I just
Such a
don't know
thankless
what's
job.
the difference in
Yeah,
other
exactly.
school districts had like runoffs and it was like,
Depends on the,
It depends on them.
Yeah,
There-
it was
there's
still,
hot
it was a nice
district,
board
yeah.
meeting,
Well, and I
you
just,
know?
I do love a good board.
I agree with Amanda, like, I hope, because, like, we still have those things that, like, when we were planning on meeting with that ISB, you know what I mean, that representative, and having those meetings and finishing those, and I feel like there's things that we haven't finished because when we want a whole,
Changing.
we want a whole board, and then somebody leaves. So then it's like, well, let's hold off until we get, you know what I mean, another board member back, or, you know what I mean? I would love,
well, then the ISB person left.
yeah, and then the ISB person.
Right.
And then, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we get to that point, and I think we're doing great things, like, and
We
it's
had a
been,
cohesive, well-oiled machine,
it's,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, and
it's,
really, you should go through that process each time you get a board to, that's why board elections are
Yeah.
years apart from each other normally. We shouldn't have had to have as much change as we had, over the last couple of years. Cause you wanna be able to reintroduce, get to know everybody, get everybody's knowledge levels more closely aligned and everything, and so it is. And it's a big commitment to do it, cause those of you that already know it, it's like, you are gonna have to relearn and redo everything, so you don't wanna do it every time we get one person. So I hope that when we do get someone, it's someone that's looking at fulfilling, I mean, it would be a 2-year term, cause they would obviously have to go up the next election, but it still would be nice to have a couple of years of
I keep
consistency.
popping out babies, so I'm in it for a while.
are you trying to tell us something?
No,
You'll have
no.
kids in the district for a while. is what you're
I
saying.
don't know, Holly, look who you're sitting between right now. Just had a baby, having a baby.
Not happening. That'd be a miracle. Yeah, no.
So just let us know, no pressure, but I just wanted to understand the functionality of that if it would allow us an opportunity to have someone seated in the place while we kept going to some of these bigger things that we have.
And you can always come to board meetings via, electronic device.
As a guest, ooh, show up as a guest, right?
Yep, you can be our public speaker.
Kristen, you've been on for what, 8 years? Yeah, you've done your service, and that's pretty awesome, so.
That's all we have to do.
No, Teresa, yeah, no, Teresa.
She's my last lone survivor from the OGs. All right, well, let us know. Do we have any content for executive? Okay. Guess what, friends? Could we have a motion to adjourn at 7:45?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:45.
I will second.
Good work, everybody.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, have a fabulous evening.
And so I left the 8th grade reading classroom is the next one down on the left at the top of the ramp. And so if you wanna peek in there and walk down the steps and kinda see what the classroom library looks like.
Yeah, it's kinda nice. I mean, the whole working at a library and doing away with this is just kinda like, ooh.
Right, that doesn't, that
The
doesn't.
littler kids still have like library time and they go to the library and get the book. But the older kids, it's like they're changed classes so many times a day. There's not really a time even.
Yeah.
It's not-
This-
it's
this-
You mean they don't
harder.
have study hall in here?
No.
Like
They have study, everybody has study hall at the end of the day in the same.
Where, where the
But
last
you
period
know, like,
is.
So-
okay, so this is also
Just
many
random.
years ago, but you could
This will
like
be here
say,
for-
can I go to the
Well,
library
thank you.
today?
I do
Yeah.
want to
Is
talk
that-
to you
Well,
at some
then
point
there's
Yeah,
a-
no,
about
they can.
the
There's somebody in
upcoming
here full time. It's just